Now calling the gentleman from Tennessee, Congressman Duncan.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, a woman named Rhonda Smith testified at the Energy and Commerce Committee, and she's from East Tennessee, from just outside my district, which is based around Knoxville, that she was driving into Knoxville in her Lexus automobile, and that on October 12th of 2006, 3.5 years ago, and she experienced one of these sudden acceleration events, and that her automobile reached 100 miles an hour, and she said that she thought it was her time to die. And she said she called her husband and tried to put the car in reverse, but the computer apparently didn't recognize it. And she feels that Toyota's response to her complaints was a farce, because Toyota apparently told her there was nothing wrong with her car. Our investigators for the Energy and Commerce Committee and this committee have found that their complaints started coming in about these events in 2001, and NHTSA started an investigation apparently in 2004 aimed at Toyota. Now 2004, you know, I don't know, that's 6 years ago if that investigation started early in the year, maybe 5.5 years ago if it started late in the year. But Mr. Toyota has said several times today that he just became president last summer, as if that excuses him. Mr. Naba, though, became head, as I understand it, 9 years ago of the U.S. Toyota operation. Now, one of my sons had a Toyota 4Runner several years ago, and my wife drove a small Lexus until about 2 years ago, and both of those were very good automobiles. And I think you've got a very good company and put out almost entirely good automobiles. I have a good impression of your company. But having said that, I don't believe I've heard a good answer today, and I've been in and out some, but I don't believe I've heard a good answer or a complete answer as to why it took your company so long to respond to these complaints. Because apparently there were many complaints. I've seen it described as several hundred. I've seen it described as a few thousand. I don't know which it is, but there were many, many complaints. And I appreciate the fact that you've expressed remorse and that you say you're going to do better. But why was there not a response before now when you had all these complaints?
どうしてこんなに対応するのに時間がかかったと。
まず昨日のスミスさんの証言、私も伺いました。本当に運転中に、ご心配をおかけしたこと、大変、申し訳ないというふうに、思っております。また、その後販売店の対応が悪かったこと、これも、大変申し訳なかったというふうに思います。なぜ反応が遅かったということでございますが、今後、その反応を本当に早くしていくように、現在、グローバル品質委員会の委員長となって、3月30日に向け、その体制を今、整えております。ですから、なんとか今までのことも深く反省し、そして今回、いろいろ学ばせていただいたことを、一日も早く、対策をかけていくことが、私の仕事だというふうに思っております。
I listened to the testimony by Ms. Smith yesterday, and I feel very sorry and regret for the fact that while she was driving a car, such a huge anxiety was caused to her. And at the same time, I apologize for the response by the dealer, which was not really up to our standards. Now, as to why it took us so long, well, in order to accelerate our response going forward, I have established the Special Committee for Global Quality, and we are now setting up the framework so that the first meeting can take place on March the 30th. We have deeply reflected upon what has happened thus far. We learned a very important lesson from what has happened, and to take actions for improvement as quickly as possible, I think, is the job that I really have to attend to at the moment.
Well, let me just say this. I understand there are no Americans in the top leadership of Toyota in Japan. I think it might, you could say there's many Americans in the top leadership here, but it might be a good idea to put a couple of Americans in the top leadership in Japan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But gentleman's time has expired. Now call woman from California, Congresswoman Spear.